Last time on Hakai, while Beerus attempts to gather the warriors of Earth for a mostly unknown cause, the fight between Vegeta and Cooler finally reaches its climax as they plan to end their battle with one final charge. Then with Goku, he along with Laia and Kiborou find themselves face to face with Odisu, the leader of the Celestial Mages. As he teleports Hiru's cocoon away from the cave, he reveals that he wants to see just how strong the newest God of Destruction is. Simultaneously, our hero discovers that he knows about the link between the Kaioshin and Hakaishin. This is part 18 of an ongoing series and was created by Hakai. Support him and catch up fully using the links below. Stunned, our ethereal duo stare on in disbelief amiss on what their next move should be. Before they can act, a fire burns in Odisu's eyes as he hisses that he'll get rid of the assistant here first. As Goku bellows for Kiborou to look out, his body begins to dematerialize. Erasing Kiborou. Goku scouts to know what he did that for. He wasn't even a threat. Odisu scoffs, what a silly question. No matter the level of power, it was an enemy, and an enemy must be taken down. Not a bad way to look at a 3-on-1 conflict, all things considered. Furious, Laia screams out that she's going to end this guy. Naturally, Goku tells her not to do it, but doesn't do anything to actually stop her. Making it a perfect tee-up for their adversary. Taking her down just as easily, she holds her chest and cries that it feels like her entire body is being shattered. She can't hold on for much longer. If this keeps up, she'll... Finally acting and using the Hakai. Goku's able to get a Supreme Kai out of danger for the moment. He asks her to please let him take care of this. He's much stronger than her. If she stays on this planet, she'll end up dead. If that happens, he'll die too. Then there'll be nobody left to stop this monster. Now that they're outside of the volcano, their senses have returned to normal, so she can teleport back to her own planet or even a safer place further away. Whatever she does, she just needs to escape. Otherwise, their chances of stopping this guy will be slim to none. Letting her pride take precedence, she argues that this man killed Kiborou, and it was her fault. Goku may be the god of destruction, but she just wanted to. The Destroyer places his hand on her shoulder. He implores her not to worry. He'll make sure this guy pays for what he did to Mr. Kiborou, and that's a promise. He just can't do it and protect her at the same time. So, he needs to do this alone. Again, pleading with her to leave before he tries something else. It's still a mystery what this man's capable of. Finally agreeing, she gives her word not to get in the way again. She'll be watching from afar and swears that she'll help, but only if needed. Just make that fiend pay for what he's done. With Goku assuring she can leave it to him, she takes off. As the leader of the Celestial Mages returns, he snarls that they're finally alone. Before they begin, our hero wants to know something. Odisu knows about the connection between the life of a god of destruction and Supreme Kai, doesn't he? When he found out that Ms. Laia was the other god of this universe, why didn't he kill her instead of Mr. Kiborou? If he had done so, he would have made his job a whole lot easier and wouldn't have the hassle of this fight. The mage actually takes offense to this. Does the Destroyer really think he would resort to such a shameful strategy? His pride as a god himself wouldn't let him use such a cowardly tactic. Besides that, the motive for himself not killing her is the same one for him not leaving here the moment he found Hiru's cocoon. While Hiru is required for the bigger picture, something that he personally wants is a fight with Goku. And that's another thing. Why does he want to fight him so bad? Well, that's enough of the questions. He doesn't need to keep answering every beck and call the Saiyan has on his mind. He said he's here to fight, not talk. Something the Saiyan doesn't care to argue with. Actually, getting straight to the fight is a good idea. He's anxious to make him pay for what he did to Kiborou. elsewhere, the royal battle hits its peak. Vegeta can't help but think back to his childhood. His entire life, he had heard legends of Frieza's brother, the legendary warrior that even Frieza and Cold feared. Hearing this, Cooler has his mindset on the Prince of all Saiyans, a race that he had always despised. With all of his power, he had considered them inferior, just vermin when compared to himself. Vegeta has trained so hard his entire existence. He had always surpassed his limits and reached levels of power he had never dreamed of. Even so, Cooler can still match him. Back with Cooler, the power of the Saiyans was completely negligible, at least compared to his family. And yet, even as he himself has recently surpassed thousands of times over his own initial power, Vegeta still manages to get himself to a level that makes this so difficult. The Saiyan Prince has always asked himself if those legends about how terrifying Cooler was were real. But today, he sees that everything was true, or even the rumors he heard don't do it justice. When Frieza told his brother about the power of the Saiyans, he didn't believe him. He thought he was exaggerating, but now he sees everything was true. Like Vegeta's own realization about Cooler, Frieza's theory of the Saiyans' potential was even greater than he believed. But even if Vegeta hates Cooler just like the rest of his family, he must admit, he is incredible. And though Cooler won't say it aloud, he too must admit that he recognizes the worth of the Saiyans' pride. Returning to Planet Chameleon. Goku wonders just what transformation he should use. He doesn't want to exert too much power at first. Before he starts expending energy for real, he wants to better understand his foe's abilities and power level. Then again, he already knows that his power is enormous, so he can't start out too low, or he could be killed pretty fast. So in this case, channeling what seems to be Super Saiyan 3, Goku's physical appearance doesn't change. Even Odisu finds this odd. He felt a very high growth of power within his opponent. And by what he knows of Saiyans of this realm, this kind of increase generally occurs through a transformation. Shouldn't he be transformed to some degree of Super Saiyan now? Why didn't his appearance change? Curious about this man's knowledge of the Saiyans, Goku decides to answer this question. The reason he didn't transform is that since becoming a god, he's been able to access all the powers of his non-divine forms, without the need to transform his actual body. At the moment, he's using the power of Super Saiyan 3. The only difference is it didn't change his appearance. Truthfully, this way is better because he can use all the potential of the transformation, without spending the energy required to transform. While this is understood, the mage states that even though this transformation has increased his power by a lot, it's still mediocre compared to his own. He recommends that he push it a little further. But enough with the talking. This guy might know a lot, but he doesn't know everything. Rushing him, our hero immediately backs off. What is this feeling? For a moment, he was certain that if he had moved even a few feet further, he would have been killed in the blink of an eye. It seems that anything below Super Saiyan God is going to be completely unacceptable. So then, he asks his foe what about Super Saiyan Blue? Of course, the villain knows of this form too. He means the blue hair transformation, doesn't he? Though, as a matter of fact, since he took the reins of Destroyer, some things have changed with the form. Not blue, but ROSÉ, the form only Zamasu is able to achieve after stealing Goku's body. He explains that when a divine being transforms into Super Saiyan Blue, the color doesn't turn out like it normally does, but instead this pinkish look. Echoing Odisu, this is Super Saiyan ROSÉ. Personally, Goku doesn't like this state. It reminds him of someone he hated, but it's what he intends to use in this fight for now. Odisu mocks that his opponent talks a lot. To paraphrase, this form has pretty much the same power as Super Saiyan Blue though, does it not? If that's the case, he'll need even more power than this. Why does he keep playing this little game instead of just showing him his true power? Thinking. From what our hero is sensing, for some reason this guy seems to have the objective of seeing his full power, so it would be best that he didn't give in to his strategy. The Saiyan decides to stick to his own plan and not go all out in the beginning. For now, he can play with his patience by fighting without all his strength, and in the meantime, he'll try to learn more about what this villain can do with his own abilities. Confused, Goku didn't outright retreat this time. His charge simply kept losing strength and momentum until it was gone. What did he do? But he believes he understands rather quickly. It's so discreet it's almost impossible to notice, but he can feel an alteration in the surrounding air. He's manipulating the air itself to stop his strikes, but it won't be enough. Goku decides to go Kaioken times 10. Odisu screams if now he understands that Goku won't be able to do anything this way. To fight against a god like himself using such a mediocre power level is sacrilege. Goku pulling himself, he shouts back that there's no need to use such complicated words. If he wants him to increase his power level, that's what he'll do. So he whips out the Kaioken times 20. From what the villain knows, increasing his maximum power 20-fold means he's using a technique called the Kaioken. This is the maximum power he can achieve with this so-called Super Saiyan ROSÉ. It's still no threat to himself and his wind barrier. As Goku also uses the Kamehameha, while this would obliterate most foes, Odisu merely finds it boring. This kind of attack is blasphemy. Why would he use something so pitiful on a god of his caliber? But if he also finds this boring, how about he try the Kaioken times 50? But 50 times? This must mean that by becoming a god and acquiring a divine body, the limits of his body have become higher than when he was a mortal. He'll need to reflect this energy. Backing out of trying to deflect the blast, the Fiend scoffs at all that effort and all he managed to do was kick up some dust. Trying a sneak attack, Odisu rolls his eyes that he wasn't born yesterday. Though Goku won't give up. Like in his fight with Piccolo way back when, he uses a 50 times Kamehameha with his feet to propel himself and blow through the wind barrier. Freezing Goku in place. The mage cackles that he knows that wasn't enough to kill the Saiyan, demanding that he free himself at once. Pulling back to his base. The power of this guy is surreal. He didn't want to use his max power so he could see his abilities. But if this keeps up, he'll end up dead without seeing even the most basic of his techniques. Odisu acknowledged that his enemy has a very interesting way of fighting, which only proves that he's lived a life full of combat. But that's not enough. If he wants to have any chance of winning today, he must stop fighting like a mortal and fight like a true god of destruction. But fight like a god, huh? Very well, since he insists so much. From now on, he will fight him like a god of destruction. letting his Hakai ki envelop him. Is this truly the extent of Goku's strength? Will he be able to put up a fight against presumably the most powerful of the Celestial Mages? Or is this all one big trap that our hero has fallen into?